Welcome back to our forum. Today's session is going to start off with the road to Data Warehouse Cloud, and I am joined by Lars, an expert from the SAP, who will be walking us through what is called. So let us just introduce ourselves to anyone who might be joining for the first time. I'm Russell Sad. I'm Practice Lead and Senior Solutions Architect for Business Planning Analytics at Westernacher. I've been in this show for about 20 years, and this is, of course, the latest and greatest data warehousing technology I've been itching to get my hands on.
Thank you so much, Russell, for inviting me. My name is Lars Jakob. I'm the Chief Architect at SAP. I'm working in the SAP Business Technology Platform area, responsible for the Middle and Eastern Europe. I'm with SAP since 2004. So really excited to be here today.
That's brilliant. So Lars, thank you for joining us. I'd say let's get going, because you're probably all keen to hear what is Data Warehouse Cloud all about and why are we talking about it today?
Absolutely. I mean, the road to Data Warehouse Cloud, the title says everything. So let's just jump right into it, I would say. We have this little disclaimer here, but I guess the first question already speaks for itself.
So the big thing is going to be, you've joined us for something which is a forum apparently about the Analytics Cloud. Why are we suddenly talking about Data Warehouse Cloud? So what is the big deal? Why do we need to talk about this now? Lars?
Excellent question. I mean, first of all, I think we have to talk, and the name of Data Warehouse Cloud already implies it's a cloud solution, right? So we have to talk a little bit, what is the background when we talk about data and analytics, data management in general, and where are we going it? And what you see kind of here is we're coming from a world, a legacy world, especially in that data warehousing segment that was very centralized. Right? So we had a central data warehouse, central company data. So that was always the big idea, to have a lot of data sources, copy them in that big thing in the middle, and then do analytics on planning on top. So if you ask about what does it have to do with the planning and analytics forum, well, it's the databases, right? And that's usually are often found in the data warehouse. Now, as we see, the world is changing a little bit, right? So we are living in times where we talk about cloud solutions. The name implies it, but also those environments get more complex. And you see that here a little bit on the right-hand side. We have now global data warehouses, for example, but we also have cloud data warehouses, different technologies and cloud providers, different solutions in that whole context. So everything is getting a little more complex, more messed up. And we believe we have a great solution with Data Warehouse Cloud to bring that a little bit in order to give everything the semantic that it needs and also the basis for planning. And you see that a little bit here.
Yes, so for many of you who are existing data warehouse users, you might have a BW75, you might have a BW4, you're already on HANA, you're connecting up your Analytics Cloud to your S4, to your Qualtrics, to your IBP. This is really why you can now stay in the cloud as well. That's a different world.
Most definitely, yeah. And I mean, whoever I talk to, if it's our customers, if it's partners, if it's analysts, I mean, it's obvious that the path is going towards the cloud. You see that also here when you look at analyst statements, and especially in the data warehousing segment, that is obvious. That is obvious. So we will be moving in the cloud, and of course we will have to deal with landscapes like that. And in the next minutes, I think we can show a little bit what that means to do that with Data Warehouse Cloud.
Which is brilliant. So let's take a look at how the landscape's developing.
Exactly. I mean, when we talk about that overall picture of data and analytics, or what we call the data to value portfolio, you see there's a lot of solutions involved, actually. And that's also coming a little bit back to your question, what role does Data Warehouse Cloud play in that? You see that a little bit here. Of course, we have SAP Analytics Cloud, as the front end layer, the analytics layer, and also the primary solution when it comes to planning and the face to the end user, to the customer. But then underneath, under the hood, in the data to value portfolio, we also have, of course, a data warehouse solution. That's Data Warehouse Cloud, actually. That's where we do the modeling. That's where the business semantics is, where we have the data and business layer, and we have spaces to really work on that data for every user. And underneath, we have advanced database technology. It's SAP HANA Cloud, and also that's in the portfolio. It's an integral part also of Data Warehouse Cloud. And we have Data Intelligence Cloud when it comes to data cataloging, when it comes to orchestrating data, and also to integrate all the data.
Which is a new way of thinking about it. So I think one of the most intriguing concepts there is this concept of these different spaces, these different layers. So Lars, should we go into those a little bit?
Absolutely. We will go into the layers, but maybe to start off, to the data to value idea again, right? There's actually a complete idea behind it, how you get to value out of data by starting with integrating the data, right? So no value out of data if you're not able to integrate all that sources. We have seen at the beginning, the landscapes definitely get a little bit more complex than we thought maybe 20 years ago. So there's a lot of stuff to integrate. So that's usually the first step. And our strategy at SAP is definitely to go towards data democratization, right? We want the end users to allow to work on any data, right? And that on a trusted, in a governed kind of way.
And that I think is one of the key takeaways from me here. This idea of this data democratization. The idea that we have a governed solution. Since authorization is something that's always very close to our hearts when we're working with end users, and sensitive information, HR or financial data, we've got to be very cautious. And we also have always had to be very cautious with to what degree we let our end users play around with the system itself. We never want them to break anything complicated.
Absolutely. That's the challenge that we have been facing decades long, right? And that's of course something which we also address with Data Warehouse Cloud. Now in the data to value portfolio, or in that cycle to get there, I mean, there's a couple of steps, you can see them here, until we're actually there, where we can do analytics and planning. We're in the analytics and planning forum here, right? But as you know, that's just the end. Right? At the end, we're planning, but for that, something has to be done with data. Data has to be integrated. We talked about that. But it also has to be stored. Yeah, it has to be cataloged so that you find the right data. Data quality measures, data preparation, all that has to be done before we actually can do analytics and planning on top of that. And last but not least, of course, it's also about data sharing nowadays.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just about we store the data somewhere and then we have it. It's about how can I get it within my organization to the right people, for example, but also how can I get the right data into that entire system, right? That's all what it is about. We address that with Data Marketplace, for example, very nicely. And then we're at the point where we can do great analytics and great planning based on trusted data.
Absolutely. And so this is where we're going in again to the need for a data warehouse to become the absolute foundation on which we build all analytics and planning applications. We can never get away from that. Which I think brings us really into the point of why would you now be wanting to go into the cloud? So moving away from all these old on-premise solutions, taking this jump the same way as with the Analytics Cloud into SAP's HANA Cloud systems?
Excellent question. I mean, we talked about it. Everyone's going to the cloud, it seems, right? I mean, if you look at the strategy from all the vendors, they're going towards cloud. Our customers are asking for cloud solutions. You're working on cloud solutions.
Absolutely.
The analysts are talking about, so what is it all about, right?
Yeah.
And, of course, there comes a little bit of, I would say, new capabilities that we were not used to in the world of the on-premise solutions. Yeah, and a little bit what you see here, and that's also what Data Warehouse Cloud is clearly targeted at, is it's a solution as well for IT and business, right? It's a solution for both. So,
which is very much like this big selling point for us, that we're reaching out not to an IT department, not to developers, but to a business team who will be able to build their own stories and applications.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. And you see that also in the discussions, in the workshops, that you have suddenly different people there, right? You're not just talking to the IT guys, not just talking to the IT guys, right? We also talk to the IT guys. But of course, we also have the business departments there. And of course, the questions from a business perspective are different, right? While the IT talks about tables and joins and inner joins and stuff like that, right? The business is talking about, margin. They're talking about KPIs, right? And they have a different language. And with their
processes.
Absolutely.
It is a different world.
Absolutely. And with Data Warehouse Cloud, we address both.
Yeah.
That's the message here, right? So we have a business layer, we have capabilities like, for example, the marketplace that I mentioned, modeling, the space concept that we will touch as well. That is definitely targeted also at the business user, that they can easily do their modeling, that they can do their self-service data. While on the other hand, of course, it needs to be a full-blown IT solution in the end, right?
Yes, that data's still got to come from somewhere. Someone's still got to find a way to get those things connected up and presented in a way that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Before we let the business users onto it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we mentioned it now a couple of times, the space concept. I mean, what is that all about? We had that request or that challenge for a long time, especially in the data warehousing market. So we were seeing that the different departments, the different business units had their requirements to do their work. They were heavily relying on IT, right? To be honest. Also with solutions like BW, of course, there was power users that did queries on top of that or could do front-end stuff. But like the back-end modeling, that was an IT story in the end.
Yes, a complicated one which would always take a lot of work to put into place. Developments would not be quick. You'd have release cycles, you'd have to create data sources. It would not be something you would put together in an afternoon, not on a stable system.
Absolutely not, right? And now with that space concept, we want to give those different business departments a chance to do that on their own, based on governed data, based on trusted data that is maybe also coming from IT, but they can also do their own stuff, do their own modeling, bring their data in, let's say marketing department, a financial department, whatsoever. They have their own space. It's isolated. It's a virtual workspace, right? It's also not duplicating data or something, but they can work on it on their own. And that's a great idea.
Yes, so for me, as a business user, it's one thing to ask for a report, which brings together your, shall we say, your sales data and your stocks. That would be an everyday solution, retail. Right now, we'd need IT to build us the solution first. Now this is something where I could sit down with a business team and we just click together the two data sources that we need and put some stories on top. It is something we can now do for ourselves.
That's the idea behind it, right? And that's what the solution is targeted at. That's also what it does in the context of analytics and planning, that we really enable also the business to work on that data, right? And you see an example here that's actually, there's so much to connect, and in typical spaces look like that. And that's what we're seeing in the projects. That's what the customers are asking for. We want to have this and that data in it. Like, for example, when we look into LinkedIn data, when it comes to marketing or social media data or whatsoever, we want to connect that with the data that we have maybe in a core system. like an S/4HANA system, stuff like that, and have meaningful KPIs on that. But that's a completely different question that, for example, a financial department has, or an HR department, right?
Yes. These are always my real problems for data security. The Analytics Cloud was a boon in that we could have this folder concept of keeping people apart. But you're still sharing the same system. This, to me, is a much more robust way in which we carve out almost a completely separate data layer for them, a completely separate environment. Plus, of course, accessing external data that we and other consultancies and other providers can now offer sources of data on a marketplace for customers to consume. That you don't need to build it yourself, you don't need to find it yourself. Someone's done the hard work for you. I need my market data from here, I need my economics data from there. I just buy it.
Exactly. Yeah. Why do that work again? And why reinvent the wheel all the time? That's not the idea. It's also not the idea, I mentioned that, to copy that data.
Yes.
Around, yeah? It's like looking into the data and looking with a certain perspective into the data. That's the idea of these space concepts. Yeah, and I think that's actually what in the projects, what the customers are asking so much for.
Yes.
Now, when we also look into, you mentioned the topic of data marketplace. I mean, it's also, of course, bringing in the data. Yeah, It's also sharing, right?
That is actually a good point. So it's bi-directional. We can also provide it to others.
Absolutely. So, of course, it's internally, if you look within an enterprise, within a company, that you give the possibility to other departments to look at that data. But of course, it's also to get that data. And you mentioned it. Like there's market data out there, or there is data about geospatial stuff, or whatever you could imagine that you want to bring in that you're not developing yourself, right? It's out there. You buy it, for example, and or you bring it in. There's also a lot of data that is just available, right? And then you not have within your enterprise. And that's this inbound and outbound idea of data marketplace that is so powerful, in my opinion.
I can very much see our customers trying this out. This is a little bit new. We don't need to put in quite so much effort as before. We don't need to rely upon IT to find a way of doing something. We might go to the experts who do this, well, as a standard service.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you can see the marketplace here a little bit, what it is all about. We have so many providers that are offering the services and the data products that you can have. It's, of course, a growing market, as you can imagine.
Well, I guess we should also emphasize that this is all still relatively new. So as you're watching this, new providers are coming online all the time.
Absolutely. So, I mean, whatever screenshot you take, it will be outdated within a couple of days. That's the traction that we see there at the moment. But yeah, you get an idea what it is all about. I think it's one part and one asset within Data Warehouse Cloud that is very interesting, and especially when we look at it from an analytics and planning perspective. Yeah, you have to ask yourself, what kind of data am I actually doing analytics and planning on, right?
Yes, if I'm doing any forecasting, I need my leading indicators. I need something that tells me something about the future, not the past. And here I need economic reports. Here I need something that tells me what are people talking about right now. I think as well, tomorrow you'll be hearing from our colleagues who are talking about sustainability. And for all of those calculations, we need metrics which tell us how much CO2 a particular vehicle emits per kilometre. This, again, this is data you can acquire from the marketplace. You don't need to go hunt it out yourself. Someone is already offering what you need.
Absolutely. And that's, I mean, you couldn't say it better. That's exactly what Marketplace, for example, is about. And I think it's a great thing that we have it. And back to the question, why are customers going to the cloud? Well, that's one point, right? It's bringing the business in. It's doing the space collaboration. It's having features like Marketplace to bring the data in. And that's qualities that you usually don't find in an on-premise solution, to be honest.
Very much so. This is giving capabilities that just didn't exist until now. But speaking about on-premise solutions, I know for a fact that some of you in the call here have got massive BW implementations. You have a legacy of reports, of complex data flows, and you're thinking this is all very good, but is there a way we can actually go from our massive historical investment to Data Warehouse Cloud? This could be tricky. So Lars, I think this is now a good time for you to tell us about the brand new BW Bridge.
Yes, indeed. It is pretty new still. We announced and presented the BW Bridge in the last quarter of last year of 2021. So it is relatively new. Although we must say we are building on technology that we know very well, right? We build on technology of BW, the name implies it, of BW4. And obviously the idea is to speed up that path for our customers into the cloud. I mean, they want all these features. We know about that, and we hear that in every discussions, what we just talked about. Now the question is, how can we use it, right? And how can they get quickly to Data Warehouse Cloud without throwing your old investments away and actually reusing what they have, right?
Yes.
That's what BW Bridge is about.
Yes, so how does it work though? Is this like a migration? What do I do with my old data flows and reports?
It's the idea of BW Bridge is really to bring the existing investments, like the data models, especially of the staging layer, right? When it comes to where the main know-how, the main resources went into in the past. How do I connect, for example, the SAP systems? How do I build my model to bring that into Data Warehouse Cloud? And we do that with that feature that we call BW Bridge, so that you can actually use all that stuff, that nice and fancy stuff that we not just have in the cloud world, on top of that data and on top of that model. And that's the idea of BW Bridge. And as you can see here in the statement of direction, of course, there is also a BW4, and we have a very long roadmap also when it comes to BW4 with a commitment until 2040.
So you don't need to worry about it being switched off tomorrow?
Not tomorrow and not the day after tomorrow. So 2040, I think that's quite a way to plan. But it's also clear, I mean, we have seen where the market goes, right? We have seen that it goes towards the cloud and so the customers are asking, how can we get there? And we heard that. And of course, we also want to offer something to accelerate that way. And to accelerate that way into the public cloud, into the cloud solution that is strategic for us, which is SAP Data Warehouse Cloud, we have built the BW Bridge.
And I think this is going to be a very interesting option suddenly that's opening up new paths. So for those of you with these massive investments, you might have been thinking about using perhaps the Data Warehouse Cloud as a sidecar to give you some new features and capabilities. But maybe there is indeed this migration path, and we could start thinking about moving some of those investments over. So let's take a look at that, I'd say, in a little bit more detail.
Absolutely. I mean, you already pointed out, I mean, if we generally think about where is the data warehouse part going of the solution, I mean, we know it's going to the cloud sooner or later, right?
Yes.
And then the question is, how do you get there? I mean, basically, you have two options, in my opinion. Rebuild from scratch. Yeah? Throw everything away that you have, or maybe keep it in a black box in a silo. Try to connect it as long as you have to keep it.
Yes.
And rebuild everything new, greenfield, or try to accelerate the way there. Right. And that's where I see Bridge, the BW Bridge, strategically, because it can accelerate that way. And for our BW customers, that is the way. It's about reusing these models. It's about bringing them directly into the cloud. And that might mean that in the meantime, in a transition architecture, right? You would, in a transition phase, maybe have a little bit of both, right? You would have a little BW and would start with the new stuff, with that stuff that the business departments are asking for in Data Warehouse Cloud. But then in the end, move to Data Warehouse Cloud. But for some customers, it can also mean directly. We have everything what we need, and we can go directly to Data Warehouse Cloud.
Without losing everything we've been building.
Exactly.
And that's where it gets interesting.
Exactly. Yeah, and of course, when we look at them at the entire data warehouse solution, then we have everything. Like then we have the connection to the SAP data, to the SAP on-premises data, as we well know it, and as our customers intensively use it also with BW4 still, right? So they have this connection still available, but in the public cloud solutions. But we also have all that other stuff, right? External data, non-SAP data, what we talked about with regards to spaces, data sharing, data marketplace. So that's then all in one solution. And that's, I think, a great message.
Yes, it's very much where the world is currently going, particularly the SAP world. More and more we are talking about these cloud solutions we don't need to worry about on-premise anymore. If we want to start up a new project with IBP for the first time, we go and we buy licenses and we just get going. So this speed as well is something that would interest me from a business perspective. As you know, in the Analytics Cloud, when you want to start your planning project, okay, well we better buy the licenses a couple of days before. It is a completely different attitude. And it offers us certainly some routes and options for the future, because we're looking here at what could you now be doing in the next couple of years.
Definitely, yeah. And I mean, that brings us a little bit to the strategic outlook, I guess, right? Also.
Absolutely. So here we really need the expert to tell us something about the roadmap. So what is on the agenda for us for the immediate future? What can we be looking forward to?
So what we can expect here is, first of all, maybe let's start big again, right? From the data to value perspective. So what we can expect here is actually that this whole portfolio that we talked about at the beginning, coming from analytics over the data warehouse piece, the data intelligence piece, and also like the data storage layer, HANA Cloud, and everything that is in there, that this will be unified, right? So we're talking about unified data analytics. That's our strategy. What we're doing, what we will see, and we already are seeing that very tangible, is that SAC, so the SAP Analytics Cloud and Data Warehouse Cloud are very tightly integrated. And they will be even more integrated when it comes to the planning piece, right? So that's an outlook that we have there, and I will talk a little bit about that for sure. The other thing is we still believe in that concept of pre-building content, right? To offer business content, all in the idea of speeding up the projects, like to offer that data to value quickly to our customers. So we will have that. We will also have a one catalog project so that we can actually do a metadata management and inventory management of that data across the entire portfolio of data and analytics. And in specifics for planning, I mean, where we're coming from, we have the analytics part, tightly integrated of SAC and Data Warehouse Cloud. Now with in the future, we will also do that for planning, right? So we will release already this year something which will be based on replication-based planning. So SAC and Data Warehouse Cloud is growing even closer together here. And in the end, Data Warehouse Cloud will be the entire planning foundation, the data foundation for the entire planning piece in SAC.
Which I personally am very excited about, We do an awful lot of financial planning projects. And although SAC, the Analytics Cloud, is our go-to tool of choice because it is just so user-friendly and so quick to build these things with business, we are still a little bit stymied by having to rely upon the Analytics Cloud for the planning engine. It gives us a lot of functionality, but sometimes we still need to leverage the customer's existing BPC solution on their BW75 or BW4 platform. There's some things we cannot do. And for that, we need the power of a data warehouse. The combinations, the power of the planning engine to transform data live for us. This is going beyond what Analytics Cloud can do, but bit by bit this year, I am seeing all of these killer features on the roadmap. So for Q3, Q4, we have now got a fully fledged planning solution with a synergy between the two.
Absolutely. So we are heavily working on that because, first we wanted to go with the analytics piece, of course, and to integrate that, but it goes without saying that the planning piece is equally important, right? And that's what you see here, coming from that decoupled solutions at the moment into at least a single source of truth, and in the end in an entire integrated solution that is streamlined, right, for both, for planning and for analytics. And Data Warehouse Cloud plays its part there as the data foundation.
With all the other features and benefits that this new world gives us, the marketplace, collaboration, spaces, democratization. So this is going to be where our efforts are focused, and I'm sure yours are going to be as well. Because as the months now roll by, it's going to be very hard to justify staying with our old-fashioned, limited on-premise solutions.
That's actually a great summary of it, in my opinion. I mean, if you are looking into the future, and if you are looking into these capabilities that the business is asking for, it's clear what the direction can be. And I think we outlined that here. Yeah. So maybe to wrap it up a little bit. Of course, what you should take away is that we are unifying that entire portfolio, that we bring everything together, that it works even more seamlessly that you are used to it before. And I think on the planning side, you just saw what role Data Warehouse Cloud is playing here. The other thing is, and we talked about that in the concept of spaces and data sharing in the modeling piece, that we want to have data access to everyone, right? Data democratization is a point, but that ungoverned data, right? So we will have still this IT data that's trusted, but you can enrich it with whatever you need in your respective space and build on your respective use cases. So that's, I think,
it's the best of both worlds there. That we've got the governed data provided to us by IT, who are freed up to concentrate on this, and not in having to plug together simple queries and simple transformations. That's something that the business team doesn't need to wait on IT for. The business teams can now do that for themselves in their own business space. That I can see this as being a big accelerator for all of us. The speed at which we can now do things. It's these new options and these new permutations. We haven't had those until now. And as you say, Lars, ever more is now here in the cloud, and we're getting so used to just logging into something and pulling our data over. So if you're doing your market research by sending out surveys in Qualtrics, of course we can pour them into the Analytics Cloud. Of course we can pour them into Data Warehouse Cloud, link them up with our historical sales, our historical CRM data. It's all available to us to click together and get new insights so much faster. Plus all these little spin-off benefits like the AI, these little wizards that actually start working out what you're doing and suggest the next steps, as we've become so used to with the analytics cloud.
Absolutely. I mean, and last but not least, of course, our goal is also to protect investments, right?
Yes.
So, and that's what we talked about when we touched the BW bridge. So especially for our BW customers that are here on the call, that are asking themselves, how do I get there? How do I get into this world? How can I use this? That's the feature that actually enables that and accelerates that move. It will be tool supported as well, right? That move to Data Warehouse Cloud with BW Bridge, you can start right now. We can also, have a closer look into that together. You guys are ready. We are ready to discuss that with you. So I think that's a great time now, actually, to think about it and to go forward.
Yes, and so Lars, thank you so much. We are now going to open the floor, some Q&A. So we're here. I hope your questions have been pouring in. Make good use of us. We're here now to answer your questions. So ask away.